Yep.
No.
Yep.
Welcome
All
in,
fucked up
welcome
there, huh?
in. Oh man, how do you get out of one of these things? As you can see, I don't normally wear the bandana style mask. Woo! Thank you guys for joining on a Friday. Looking forward to a busy sports weekend, as always. Unfortunately, as we've discussed, slowly getting a little less busy, but a lot of football if they can somehow finish the season.
Yes, right.
Still got the getting down to, well, pretty unfortunately, damn close to the final two in baseball.
Yeah.
UFC Fight Night, all the hits. NASCAR's getting down to the nitty gritty.
That's
Premier
right.
League is back after the always hated international break.
Yes,
especially as U.S. fans, and they're not even doing friendlies right now. So, I mean, I'd probably just be mad if I had to, watch them, because I will. But
sure.
Anyway, Tyler, how are you doing on a Friday night?
I'd be feeling better if the Dodgers weren't so bad yesterday, and outside of the Corey Seager home run that happened right before we went on air, they're not doing too well tonight either. But we'll see. Maybe they can find some heart somewhere and come back and stretch the series along. But all in all, doing fine. Looking to a good weekend of football, weekend of soccer. It'll be fun stuff. How are you doing today, Ronnie?
Doing pretty well. Very busy bank day. This is like Friday, whatever. It's always busy, but
yeah,
probably like the second, if not maybe even third time in like the last month and a half where we were going to have like this guy's bigger than God coming, like type of visitor, like
one of those
boss's
guys.
boss's boss.
Sure.
And then once again, just didn't show up.
Didn't show up. Yeah.
Like everyone dressed nice. We got to be top shelf. Blah 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 blah.
That's what I always love is like no matter what, if they tell you like the big boss is coming and it's a Friday, the big boss is not showing up. They do not show up on Fridays.
It's more of a setup just to check us. Like,
sure,
everyone, get your crap together. Big Friday. We got to look, on point. And then it's just like, hey, where are they at? And then it's 1 o'clock. They ain't coming. No, they're not coming.
He's the manager of all the Western states. It's Chadwick Edihue Lorenz III coming. And then he just doesn't show. He doesn't even exist. It's just
no. Actually, the owner of Bank of America is Steve of America. His last name is
of course,
America.
Named after him. Yeah, it makes sense.
No, but got home in time to get a little bit set up here. I know we were about maybe 2.5 minutes late, so I apologize. But looking forward, especially to the football.
Yeah.
The schedule's ridiculous now. It's going to be it's stupid why it's happening, but I think the Colts facility, is that the one that got shut down today?
So today there was the Browns facility reopened. They were closed the last couple days. The Patriots facility closed down to do a new positive test.
That's it. Got to close the studio, y'all.
And
close the studio.
Choked out a legend. And the Falcons also returned to their facility today, which is closed the last couple of days.
At some point, I feel like there's going to be football every single night of the week as they just try to haphazardly get all these games played. But
all right, so this week you're playing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Sorry, guys. That's just the way the schedule works out.
I got those back-to-backs. The veteran players don't like that.
But I mean, we'll see what happens with it. We'll go into that a little bit more. But we'll see. I mean, look, we still got college games all day Saturday, NFL games all day Sunday, because the NFL is just going to move forward and do what they can and try and make the season happen, I guess.
I think it's pretty clear at this point, everything they've done up to this point is that they are going to push through until it just becomes impossible to do it.
Yeah.
Even with, teams going to have to play after like 4 days off or Tuesday games or just weird stuff. But they're going for it, so we'll see what happens. We'll get more into the football a little bit later. Let's start with the baseball as that's winding down. Start with the Dodgers. We're the Dodgers show of record.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know about the Dodgers. I mean, actually, I do know. And
we know.
I've seen it all before.
Yeah.
At least, gotta say, the last 2 years haven't been as hard because now I just don't expect anything. I wish it wasn't that way, but there it is. When I was really, really invested, thinking, they're still one of the best teams in the league every year in the regular season,
Mm-hmm.
you just build up too high and just come crashing down.
Yep.
So I am disappointed, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
kind of par for the course for these guys. I texted Tyler last night. I did watch it. I put myself through that. I don't know if you saw on Twitter. When it got super unraveled, time to crack out the double IPA and just the nuclear option. But one of the rare games where normally I'd have at least like a full box score or some stats, but that little tiny mini one they give you, that really says it all.
That sums it up perfectly.
You got Kershaw with the playoff loss. Happens a lot. I don't really put last night on him. They just couldn't hit for him against a rando, like 22-year-old, 5 ERA kid. 14 hits given up, 3 hits by the Dodgers, and 2 errors. And that will probably do it every time. So that's all I really needed to see. But, I think, Tyler, you watched most of it as well. I don't know. Where are you at right now after that ludicrous display last night?
Let's think about the Dodgers. They always try and walk it in. It was so frustrating because it was a game that was set up for success for the Dodgers. Offense exploded the game before. The Braves just turned to a 22-year-old kid whose career ERA was 5.91. They were looking at another bullpen game. They were just going to say, hey, kid, go out there, do what you can, and we're going to hope for it, hope for the best. And the Dodgers couldn't, the Dodgers got 1 hit off of them in 6 innings. And it's not even like it was overpowering stuff. It's, like I see, like 2 weeks ago, look when they faced the Brewers and Chris Woodruff. Like, you could see his stuff was just nasty. Like, lots of breaking stuff, just pinpoint accuracy.
Right.
This guy's stuff wasn't that great. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and say he's bad or anything, but it just wasn't good. And the Dodgers were just swinging and missing or not swinging at stuff. Like, it was just overall horrible performance. Kershaw, again, was doing what he could. The Braves were getting a lot of good, solid contact off of him. It finally kind of opened up in the 5th or the 6th, which
6th inning, it unraveled, and he got pulled out of there.
Bruce Starr comes in, and I know a lot of Dodger fans are clamoring for him to be the closer of the future. He's not a closer yet, guys. Like he can throw the ball 100 miles an hour, but there's no movement, so it's just a straight line. And if somebody makes contact, it goes out at 115 miles an hour and makes it impossible for anybody to field. So until he gets some movement and learns how to put guys away with 2 strikes, he's not a closer. Where we go from here, I don't know. Obviously, the series isn't over. They're only down 2-1 in the game right now. They still haven't looked good. AJ Minter, who has never thrown more than I think an inning and a third through 3 innings and was just killing the Dodgers. So nice to see they're showing up. We were kind of talking before the show. I think, man, it's just at this point in time, this is. 2015 was kind of when the first run of really good Dodger teams started.
Yeah.
It's been most of the same guys, man. At this point in time, I almost say blow it up. You got Mookie for a long time. Re-sign Seager because he's coming through in the postseason. Keep the catchers because they've been doing a good job in the postseason. But everywhere else, I mean, it's just guys that are just not getting it done year in and year out. Bellinger, love you. You're not getting it done. Muncy, you're not getting it done. Turner, for the most part, is getting it done. He can't field anymore. So if they go to DH, maybe you can keep him around then. That's fine. But, it's just I don't know. It might be time to just try something new for the Dodgers.
Well, I think, unfortunately, because it just seems like a good dude, very level-headed, I think Doc is probably going to wear it and finally get boxed out on this one. Yeah. And you can't really blame the management on that. I mean, there's varying theories of how much control of in-game decisions even Doc has.
Sure.
But it's just not working. I mean, division titles are great. Getting to the NLCS is great, but
when you do it so many years in a row, you got to have something more.
Even the Braves with their 15 years they got one.
Yeah.
It kind of towards the beginning of that too. So
that's 95, I think, when they got it?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years into that run, they got the World Series. So I know weirdly kind of similar. I mean, they're not similar pitchers, but arcs as far as Hall of Fame pitchers and their playoff track record with Glavine and Maddox over there.
Sure.
But they do have the fallback of they got the one. So
They got the one. Yeah.
frustrating as always, as is
Mm-hmm.
tradition with the Dodgers, but things are going to get shooken up. I think first and foremost, it's probably going to be Dave Roberts gone, and then you're going to see a little bit of a different lineup. Kershaw's not going anywhere. I mean, he still was pitching effectively, even with less velocity during the season. You know, he still racks up wins and strikeouts. But yeah, and Mookie's going to be there, you know, forever. But you got to shake it up at some point. It's just not coming through. So yeah, it sucks. But like I said, selfishly, I was just happy they beat the Padres. I don't hate the Padres. I just didn't want to deal with the Twitter involvement.
Sure.
But yeah, Dodgers just they've got to take the next step and just win one of these at some point, because it's a bummer. I don't even know. It's just kind of, I hate that you just accept it at this point. But and the Dodgers have lost the most World Series of any team. So
this is true.
I mean,
6-14 record in the World Series.
They're getting into the World Series. They've been, you know, relevant throughout the decades. Team of the decades, the losing World Series team of the decades. To steal the Raiders tagline.
Sure.
Shout out to Al. But yeah, with the team they've had, man, these last 6, 7, 8 years, you got to pull one out somewhere. It's just, yes, things go wrong. Baseball playoffs, you distill a huge season, maybe not in the case of this year, down to a very small sample size. Wild card teams just bust in there and win it sometimes, but law of averages, you would think they could pull one of these off at some point. So I think it's going to get shooken up. I don't know the extent of it, but yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess.
And again, you know, maybe the Dodgers, you know, again, find some of that heart somewhere and pull the series out. It's not officially over yet. It's obviously not looking good. But yeah, it's just I hate to say par for the course, but it's kind of par for the course at this point. So there's
the way she goes, boys. The way she goes.
But yeah, something. There's probably some reckoning coming in the offseason. I think you're right about that. But the other series, which was looking like a massive blowout, and now the Astros have just won 3 games in a row, and now that series is going to a Game 7 tomorrow.
Hate it so much.
You hate it, but it's also, I mean, we said it multiple times throughout the years. Like, look, this Astros team is good. I mean, that's kind of what made the cheating even worse. Is like, you don't really need to cheat, but they did it anyways. But I mean, they're good. They can turn it on, and when those bats get going, they're hard to stop. So. Interesting to see what the Rays do. I mean, the Rays have been in a, you know, do or die game a couple times already against the Yankees. So, you know, that kind of experience is already there. But this Astros team has been in at least Division Series, Championship Series, World Series for the last 3 years. So it's going to be a tough one. It'll be a tough pill to swallow if Houston wins it, but I'll say they earn it. I mean, if they're cheating this year, I don't know how. My hat's off to them because I don't know how they do it. But
yeah. And the thing that scares me the most, kind of along the lines of what you were just saying, is they do have the pedigree. They have won a World Series. A lot of these guys have been there before in elimination games also. And the Rays, for all the talent they have, a lot of young guys, you know, a lot of nationally unknown kind of guys. So when you're on the side of that as the younger team that hasn't really been, I mean, they've been good. They've been in the playoffs in recent history, but a lot of these guys also weren't there. That really flips pretty much all the pressure on you at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, they're coming. We blew this huge series lead, and now it comes down to one game. So I am nervous. Dodgers hopefully pull this one out, and then just game at a time, just, see what happens. But
Sure.
I'm really just firmly in the camp of anyone but the Astros. Please, anyone but the Astros. And I'll give credit where credit is due. I think Correa is probably my least favorite player on that team. He's having a really good series. He had the walk-off last night.
Yeah.
He's backing it up. You can't knock him for that. I mean, he's showing up.
No,
and
not at all.
they're like fighting for their lives in every single game, and they're pulling them out. So kind of interesting, too. I did see earlier in the game, I think it was like the 5th inning, Blake Snell was pitching a shutout. He had only thrown 82 pitches, and they took him out. He was visibly upset, as you see him walk into frame here with some spicy language. And there was another one, actually, as he was walking off the field where I think he pretty clearly said, "What the F are we doing?"
Man.
And then they went on to score, I think, 3 runs in that inning. I mean, he had 2 guys on base at that point, but
yeah,
that could be one of those turning point kind of things. I mean, who knows what Snell would have done if he was really struggling. You know, it's the manager's job to make that decision if he thinks it's going to get worse from there. But, man, Astros just annoyingly just hanging around like mosquitoes around my ankles all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, talent's there, man. You can't be surprised when the talent finally shows up. But who knows what will happen again? Game 7. I mean, it's just, you know, throw any strategy just out the window. It's you're going in a Game 7. You're going pitch by pitch. If you got to use, you know, if you got to pull a Padres and use 87 guys out of the bullpen, you do what you got to do. You know,
well,
don't worry.
Game 7.
Don't worry about tomorrow. Worry about tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you
that'll
can
be
even potentially see like Blake Snell pitch at some like tomorrow, because that's just what happens in these games.
Yeah.
But that was his strategy all along. We need you tomorrow. We're winning 1-0. I'm pitching a shutout. Nope. I got to call the shots. I got to make the tough decisions.
It's called playing the percentages.
Still like him better than Steinbrenner. But yeah, it's also weird too, because you can see they've got the Goodyear blimp down there over Petco. So I'll just see it up in the air, and it's a freaking Rays Astros championship series
in San Diego,
and like a weird vacuum that people can't go actually watch the game.
Right.
But Goodyear blimp still up there getting those aerial shots, aerial footage provided by Goodyear.
Always for 80 years or whatever it is they say.
Anyone but the Astros, please. That's all I can say.
Well, let's turn the attention to, some more sports that we know are going on this weekend. Let's go ahead and go to the NFL here.
Football.
Football! As we mentioned earlier, you know, some teams are having more and more issues with the COVID, whether it's actual positive tests, false positives, whatever it is. They're still having to shut down their facilities for a couple days, but the NFL is moving on.
Marching on.
They are marching on. You know, this weekend got an all right set of games here. A couple games that really stuck out to me. The first one was Cleveland-Pittsburgh, which who'd have seen that coming with Cleveland for the last 20 years?
Yeah.
But
couple
I think
interesting. I mean, we know the Myles Garrett situation. His first time back in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Fortunately, Mason Rudolph will be watching from the bench. But I think that's pretty much settled. I don't know. I mean, you do have some kind of long-standing rivalries in that division. It seems like when the Bengals and Steelers were going at it forever.
Yeah.
Just, you know, some Fontez Burfict. Anytime he shows up, it's going to be a fight. But
for sure.
Cleveland, I think I saw some stat. They have not won in Pittsburgh in like the last 16 tries there. So
I can believe it.
They do have what appears to be one of the better offenses. It seems like their pass defense has been pretty bad this year, though. Big Ben is throwing it all over the field. Also, what's his name? The rookie that had 4 touchdowns last week. Claypool, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I spent a lot of waiver money on. Got him, just in case.
You did get him? Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I was like, that might just also be like a 1 week, one matchup.
It very likely could, but I'm not taking that chance. I got some waiver dollars available. I'm going for it.
Might as well spend it.
I think it could be a good game, close game. Cleveland's going to have to not worry about too many of those demons from the past, because 16 games in a row of not winning there is a long time. But hey, the Raiders finally beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, so anything is possible.
That is true. Some other games that just stood out to me. Of course, the Green Bay-Tampa Bay game. Aaron Rodgers looking like the Aaron Rodgers of the past. This year, just absolutely slinging it everywhere. Tampa Bay, of course, now you got Touchdown Tom. You got that solid offense. Tampa Bay, yes. You know, we'll see how they do. I mean, they've looked up and down. Obviously, they've done enough to win more when they've lost this year. And then Green Bay has just kind of ran over everybody they've played. So
Yeah.
could be an interesting matchup. Definitely that will really help show how Tampa is going to be stacking up against the upper echelon after their Week 1 loss against New Orleans.
We also have the so-called Adam Gase Bowl there with the Jets going down to Miami.
Oh
Maybe not the
boy,
best football you're going to see this weekend, but interesting. And every game out for the Jets, I'm like, when is going to be that loss where
this is the week. This is the week. Yeah.
we have mutually agreed to part ways with our head coach, Adam Gase. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors.
That's no.
So, yeah, we'll see. And Miami is, the record isn't great, but we saw
Looks
what
like
they
a
did to the
coked up
49ers. They're a game team. I mean, they've been in most of the games they played this year, so I think Miami's definitely taking that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of how embarrassing it's going to be for the Jets and Adam Gase going back in there and probably just getting beat on. So that could be one of those Black Monday type situations for Adam Gase if it really gets out of hand. We'll see.
Sure.
Also on that note, of course, the rich get richer. Le'Veon's gone, and he goes to the Chiefs for no money at all. So
for
great.
$1 million, yes.
Awesome. Well, as I was telling Tyler, they really have to reload if they want to take down the lineal champion Las Vegas Raiders.
This is true. The Raiders have that lineal championship. They took it from them, so Kansas City said, "Hey, we don't have enough to win it back yet. So let's load up here." So we'll see how Le'Veon Bell does. I'm still not. I know, especially in the fantasy world, a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire owners are kind of worrying. I'm not worrying about it that much. I think, he'll get some third and short touches, maybe some, vulture a couple goal line touchdowns, but I don't think they're going to use him a ton. Could be wrong. Could be very wrong.
The only thing that scares me as far as being a fantasy owner of Edwards-Helaire is Le'Veon's definitely a better pass catcher, which you have Mahomes. So
sure,
those kind of plays where he could break out and just make something happen. That kind of adds to his value there. And I think the only real weakness, because, as a rookie, he's having a great season, Edwards-Helaire, but not really so much down around the goal line. So that could, he could vulture some touches down there. And
sure, I expect that.
That's 4 touchdowns. So fantasy owners that hung on to Le'Veon, we'll see what happens there going forward. But, I just hate seeing the Chiefs get more good players. Always bothers me
because they need it.
Yeah.
And then of course we got Monday night here. A couple games on Monday. The bigger one that I'm looking forward to is the Chiefs at Buffalo. Again, two top teams, both coming off losses, so they're going to want to right the course there. Expecting a big game from Josh Allen, just because the Chiefs tend to give up a lot of yards, a lot of points. So definitely expecting Allen to show up, but of course, the Chiefs' offense is the Chiefs' offense. They're going to show up as well, so we could wind up getting a track meet there.
And they're trying to come back. It's can be devastating losing to the Raiders. I understand.
Of course,
they're going to be coming out hungry. Josh Allen really didn't look that good in the last game, but he's had a good season otherwise, so he's probably looking to bounce back too. I think that is an interesting matchup. Kind of also just going back to the Sunday night game. San Francisco's looked really bad this year, but this
so bad.
Really feels like this could be it for them. Like almost a must-win game at this point in the division against the Rams that have looked really good all season. Who knows who's going to be healthy enough to play or capable of playing, even if they're on the active roster for the 49ers. But probably sort of fighting for their lives right now. So that could be some intrigue there. And then, of course, the always unpredictable Dallas Cowboys against the Cardinals in the other Monday night game.
Yeah, that's one. Obviously, we've discussed at length about the struggles of the Dallas defense, and Kyler Murray had one or two iffy games, but for the most part, I think he's been looking good this year. So, that one could get out in a hurry, and I'll be interested to see what happens if Dallas falls behind by a score or two. You don't have Dak to lead the charge. You can feed it to Zeke, but if you're trailing 2 touchdowns, that's not going to help you very much. So,
the red rifle, baby.
That's right.
Andy Dalton's a winner.
Look, they still have great wide receivers, awesome running backs. So they're definitely not out of it. But, that'll definitely be one to keep an eye on.
And Arizona offensively, first of all, the Cowboys defensively, any team in the
So
NFL
bad.
can score points on them.
So bad.
But the weapons that Arizona has, you could potentially see the Cowboys going down by 2 touchdowns or 13 points or something like that. And then now it's really got to keep up the pace here because your defense is just not giving you anything to slow the other team down. Yeah, some of that depends on Kyler Murray making good decisions, but I still think they have a really good offense that matches up. Again, everyone matches up pretty well against the Cowboys, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, overall, definitely looking forward to it. Definitely going to be a red zone weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, the morning, I think there's 7 or 8 games in the 10 a.m. West Coast window. So hopefully we get a little Octo Box action.
Yeah.
Shout out to my guy, Scott Hansen, the GOAT.
Yeah, that dude is so impressive with how he does that. That dude just does not take a break for 7 hours on Sundays. It's insane.
Dig in for 8 hours of commercial-free football. I always like the countdown, too. If I catch the countdown in time, I'd still get excited. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Just sit there and watch it. Just the red numbers going down for like 2 minutes. It's pretty great. Other news in the NFL this weekend, and this may transition, I believe, to the Rob Manfred This Friggin' Guy Award. Actually, yeah, Ron, if you got that, go ahead and cue it up.
That is actually a nice segue, just to put a little capper on the NFL, roundup, I guess, if you want to call it, for the weekend.
Yeah.
Dan Snyder, still out there just doing him.
Oh, boy.
There's our guy, Big Dan Snyder. Just
that's the picture you got to give up there.
Yeah, I got that one. It just seemed like appropriate for the subject matter and for just what a turd in general this guy is. Still the owner, somehow, of the now Washington football team. The report came out today, and there's actually been, I think there's like a ongoing lawsuit. It's been going on for a while between former cheerleaders and the Redskins of just the treatment there that was going on in their time there. And the thing that's crazy to me, too, is how focused he is on, like, micromanaging the cheerleader part of it. Like, man, if you would have just focused on the actual team, maybe we could have got something done here. But no, let's get Albert Hainsworth for $1 bazillion. Josh Norman, who we got, we saw him fly into the astral plane somewhere. Man, almost said it. The Washington football team just continues to be a joke. Even the name change thing, I know that's been sort of like a ongoing, I don't know, however you want to say, like, cultural divide thing. But the most Dan Snyder thing about that is I've seen a lot of reports where he was also motivated by the fact that he ideally would want to build a new stadium actually in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the deal with some of the negotiations with the city and stuff like that would be that he had to change the name. Mm-hmm. So even that was not really like any kind of sensitivity, cultural awareness on his part. Right. It still could have just been purely a money move. And now you have all these things coming about, even not besides the cheerleaders, just sort of the work culture there amongst like office staff and things like that. He's been pretty much maligned forever since he's been an owner of that team.
Yeah.
I feel like the NFL probably just wishes he would go away, but they don't have any way to force him out. I hypothesized to Tyler that it may be up to Jerry Jones, a.k.a. the shadow leader of the entire NFL anyway, to put together a mercenary hit squad and assassinate him to forcibly remove him from power. But, man, it just continues with this guy. It just, like, they can't do anything right over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, pretty damning stuff. And that's just how it's been for the last at least year. Kind of the Washington Post seems like every couple months has another new big article that comes out, kind of like just showing how kind of shitty he is and how shitty the culture is there. Kind of the big thing that came out from this was that the former director of cheerleading over there with the former Redskins, now current football team, they were at a charity event, and Dan Snyder's quote to him was, "You better keep them skinny with big tits, or I'll fucking kill you." So good dude there.
Classy guy.
Classy guy. So you're right. I'm sure there's other owners and definitely the brass within the NFL that would like him to sell, but there's just unless you get a situation like Donald Sterling, there's really not much you can like have something on tape.
On the wire, yeah.
Yeah. So there's not much they can do. I mean, I do like your theory that they may have to get Jerry to do that, but as I retorted to your text, that's, with Snyder there, that's one less team that Jerry has to worry about in the NFC East. So he may want to keep Snyder around for a while.
That's true. That is one threat gone in that division. Even now, it seems like he's been laying more low the last, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years because of all the very public, embarrassing things when he was like
everything accumulating. Yeah.
And now still the backlog of all this stuff just continues to come out. And then, the embarrassing deal with the name going back and forth. Just a constant, everything is a travesty with this guy. I don't like, there's nothing that goes over smoothly that he does. I guess you can feel good about Alex Smith is back, but that doesn't really save the reputation of an entire franchise that has really just been dragged through the mud. And that was a really powerful, prestigious team as recently as the 80s. So kind of just totally falling apart over there. I don't know how much longer this can go on. I don't think the NFL can just push him out, but who knows? The more stuff that comes out, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if there is anything that can get him out of there. Like I said, unless you get something on tape and you get that Donald Sterling situation, the NFL probably can't do much. They probably can't make a guy sell a team that he owns for just like, hey, these stories are coming out. Granted, there's a ton of stories and none of them look good, and a lot of them seem to be verified by multiple people, but still, kind of unless you have the thing on tape, there's really not much you can do.
Yeah, and let's actually take a little transition over to the college football world.
Ooh, all right.
First of all, I want to throw it up to Tyler as far as matchups that you're looking at, just sort of enticing over the weekend.
Yeah, there were like 3 or 4 that I had written down here. First one I see coming in the morning is Pittsburgh at Miami. Miami coming off a loss to Clemson. Still, I think
what a loss.
Think they're still ranked in the top 15, so they'll be looking to bounce back. Pittsburgh's not a bad team. I think they're 3-2 right now. And Miami usually seem to struggle against Pittsburgh. Granted, usually when they go to Pittsburgh is when they lose, but they seem to have a tough time with them. So that'll be one to look out at. Another one that's probably going to fly under the radar, understandably, but Marshall and Louisiana Tech, both teams having really good seasons. I believe they're either undefeated or they both have one loss. I can't recall, but that was kind of a matchup that stuck out to me. Boston College at Virginia Tech is going to be on in the afternoon. Both teams have one loss. Virginia Tech's ranked. Boston College looking to get ranked. I think that'll be kind of an interesting ACC matchup there. And, of course, the big matchup of the weekend, we're going to have in the evening number 3 Georgia at number 2 Alabama. And Alabama, for this game, will be enlisting the services of Cyberdyne using their Skynet equipment. Yes, we are going to get we're going to get cyber saving this weekend.
This is an artist rendering of what we may see on the sidelines. I know the Alabama engineering department is working around the clock trying to put this together right now.
That's right.
See what they can come up with. But yes, the big news there, obviously, that's been out, for about the last week that Nick Saban does have the Rona. He has passed the test since then. He was asymptomatic, but he's still desperately trying to figure out if hopefully he ideally just wants to be there coaching on the sidelines, but some other way that he can have communication as far as input on, game strategy and things like that. It'll be interesting to see, though. I still think Alabama can take care of Georgia at home.
Yes.
And seemingly like every Georgia team, except for the Braves, unfortunately, does have a history of bungling in key situations. So he's got that on his side. But Nick Saban is definitely one of those guys that is a total freak, like a Belichick-level guy. All these stories you hear about, he walked off the field, they won the national championship, he's on the phone calling recruits, like, oh, you should come be a part of this. Well, he just never stops, this guy.
Yeah.
Which is probably, it seems like he does have some kind of life, a small shade of personality in there. But for the most part, he just seems generally unhappy most of the time, which is probably, a testament to his dedication of just this guy just never stops, akin to a Terminator. But a couple interesting theories. Our choice is obviously that they put together some kind of Saban Terminator type device. Also, theories being posited that a mysterious Rick Saban may appear on the sidelines, an immediate last-second hire. Yeah. But he's definitely going to be going crazy if he cannot be a part of this. So we'll see how they. I was kind of thinking maybe. Of course, the ultimate was Hugh Freeze in the hospital bed up in the press box.
That's right.
But I was thinking, maybe they could, put him up in a suite or something just by himself, where he could have a headset at least, and then wait for the fans to clear out and just sort of out through the back door where he's not contacting people. The NCAA doesn't really have super clear protocols, shocking, on this. So, and it does seem like the SEC seems to just sort of pull out things like this and make it work. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, especially for, as Tyler said, a 2 versus 3 matchup, the marquee matchup of the season so far for both of these teams.
Well, I did see that of course, like I said, the NCAA doesn't have a regulation. I did see the SEC does have one where if you test negative twice within 24 hours, they will allow you to come back in. He's already tested once that we know of that came up negative. I believe he has been tested again. And it's going to help they have a later game tomorrow because that will allow him time. If
more time, yeah.
Test, he'll be allowed to coach on the sideline. It's, a good friend of the show, Will Galvez, popped the question on Wednesday asking, if we thought that was going to have any effect on the team or on the betting line. I haven't looked at the line. I really don't think it will. Like I said, I thought maybe a point on the spread, which Bama was already favored anyway, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. They're just a well-oiled machine. If he can't be there on the sideline, he'll be there yelling at somebody over the phone, on a walkie-talkie, on a headset, whatever. Like he'll still do what he needs to do. So I like Bama in that one. I
don't think anyone's surprised by that. It moved the line down a little bit, but Alabama's still favored. And the way their offense has been this year, it's kind of like just roll the ball out there and they'll take care of it. Yeah. But just the idea of how insane he might be going if he can't get in there somehow does kind of make me laugh, because he's just totally that guy that would just freak out about it.
For sure. And by the way, since I did say I do like Alabama, just know that any predictions we do make on here,
of course,
are for entertainment purposes only.
Cannot stress that enough.
Cannot
afford any lawsuit.
Any more lawsuits? No, we cannot.
Yeah, I know. We blew through our lawsuit budget in I believe 4 episodes.
Yeah, it was pretty quick on that.
Or another theory I heard, Dan Patrick maybe get in one of these bubble things and just let them kind of cruise around.
I like it.
Also, that made me laugh at the idea of all head coaches, but Saban's had some good ones too. Throwing the clipboard, throwing the headset, but just inside the bubble, bounces back, hits him or something.
Yeah,
get me out of this thing! Damn it!
Just see him start screaming, and the entire bubble just fogs up.
Yeah, that's the loudest curse word I've ever heard. And just steam fills the entire bubble.
Oh, that would be amazing. But so yeah, again, pretty decent set of games tomorrow. It's going to be really kicking up in a couple weeks when when we have all the big conferences in the Big Ten starting next week, the Pac-12 starting a couple weeks after that. We'll even have the Mountain West and the MAC. Give me some action. Always love MAC. So we'll have that coming up in the next few weeks. Again, don't know how that's going to work with the bowl games and the playoffs, but I'll just be glad to have full slates of college football on the weekends.
Yep. And still marching on. I don't think it's been as affected because the way the conferences sort of came back, they have left gaps in there to have makeup games and things like that.
Right.
And then you have, as Tyler said, two of the power conferences haven't even started yet. So they're kind of figuring it out. The NFL is more kind of locked in on, like, we got to play these games in a certain time period because it's screwing everyone else up. So I think they've been more effective for that reason. But pretty nice early season matchup of two, teams you would think were probably going to be around during playoff time, whatever that looks like this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And also this weekend, we will have as Ronnie mentioned at the top of the show, the return of the Premier League.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Nice, actually some real nice matchups this weekend. I know the first few weeks there weren't really weren't too many Premier matchups, but of course we're kicking off the weekend with at 4:30 in the morning our time here, the Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool. Everton, who is just blasted through everybody. Liverpool hasn't looked like the championship side, but let's not kid ourselves. The talent is there.
They still got the players, yeah.
The players are there, although I don't know if Sané is going to be if he's been cleared or not. But either way, that's obviously going to be a big matchup here. You also got Manchester City and Arsenal is one that stuck out to me. Man City kind of struggling to start the year, and they're going to be without Kevin De Bruyne, which will absolutely hurt them.
Yeah.
Arsenal
sitting in that fourth spot in that Champions League spot right now. They've had a decent start. Man, that Everton-Liverpool one is just another one of these that, like, man, especially after Liverpool won last year and Everton's in first place just running, like, roughshod over everyone.
Yeah.
Man, I just miss having fans, especially it's always a rivalry game anyway. Like, that would be heated.
Well, the thing that I love about that rivalry the most is just how close the two teams' facilities are.
Yeah.
Like, it's less than a mile. It's a park that separates the two facilities. Like, if you Google Maps it, there is on the south end you see Anfield. There's a big park, and then there's Everton. I forget what the name of Everton Stadium is, but Goodison Park.
Goodison Park.
Like they are right there. Like, this is a real, like, close rivalry. So yeah, that one's that would definitely be one that if the fans were there, that would be something.
Also looking at the Newcastle and Man U game, Man U with a horrendous start to the season.
Yes.
And Newcastle just sort of hovering in that middle zone. I mean, it's early enough to where 3 points can push you up, right outside the top 5 there. So kind of a big swing game for both of those teams. I don't think Manchester can really – I mean, they are at home, but, man, you put yourself in a huge hole early on if you lose that game. And they really just have looked all over the place. I don't know what's going on there, but it is just a mess.
Yeah, and like you said, Newcastle, they've been looking good. I mean, Callum Wilson's one of their new transfers. He's been putting up goals a lot. Alan Saint-Maximin, that, like, a lot of people are expecting big things from him. He kind of was just there the first few weeks, but their last game, he really showed up, had a couple assists in that one. So that one, yeah, that could be interesting. That could be one that could get away from Man U real quick. And then, of course, we got to say the matchup that, of course, both of us being West Ham fans are going to be most interested in Sunday morning. We got West Ham going to Tottenham in a London derby there. I mean, it's one that I think it's either going to be like 4-0 Tottenham or 1-0 West Ham, and, like, those
That's
are
how we like it.
Yeah.
Slow and dirty. Come on, West Ham, drag this thing through the mud.
West Ham, we both had just really low expectations through this month to start the year, just because they have a brutal schedule. West Ham loves to West Ham things. They love to not play up to their ability. But then they came out and got a 3-0 win over Leicester and a 4-0 win over Wolves, which was very unexpected.
Yeah.
they're kind of rolling. Of course, then they had to go into the international breaks. We'll see how that goes. They're not going to have Cyber Moyes. They're going to have actual David Moyes on the sideline there.
I don't know. I want to go back to the Cyber Moyes era.
I'll be interested to see if they start, because they just did complete the loan transfer today to get Said Ben Rama. I'll be interested to see if they try and start him right away, or if they stick with Fornals. And Fornals has been playing great. You can put him out on the left wing.
Yeah.
He's been doing good so far. But, I'll be interested. And, of course, Tottenham's just been destroying everybody in their path. Son and Harry Kane have just, I've got them both. Yeah, I've got them both on my Fantasy Premier League team, and they've just been absolutely destroying it. So, like I said,
either way, Tyler wins this weekend.
Either way, I'm going to win. That's
called hedging your bets.
I think that really is my strategy. Is like, I'm going to pick guys that West Ham are playing against, so that way I win either way.
Hey, if they don't have a good week, come on, West Ham. All right.
Exactly. And then just another one that I kind of had my eye on was Monday, Leeds and Wolves. That one could be fun. Leeds has a high-powered offense. Wolves has a great defense, so that's definitely a matchup of styles there. It'd be interesting to see how that one works out.
Yep. Nice little slate of games, especially these days. Like I said, the U.S. national team is not holding any camps right now. They're not doing friendlies, which is understandable. I mean, there's definitely been a lot less activity as far as international friendlies go.
Sure.
Because of all the things you got to deal with, getting guys together, traveling. Where they've been, like what country they're in, could affect if they can even come over here, so not too disappointed to not see international games right now. In fact, West Ham was playing well. I was kind of pissed that there was an international break. When your team is doing well in the Premier League, you're like, just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they come back from that. But I will be looking forward to that game and hopefully get to catch some of it.
Yeah, that one will be Sunday at, I think, 8:30 is when the kickoff is.
All
so
right.
To watch that. If you got the dual screen, put that on, put Red Zone on, you're good.
Yes. Sunday is coming.
And then we also have a fight night scheduled for the UFC going on tomorrow night. Again, another Fight Island card leading up to the big lightweight title fight, which will be next weekend. But interesting main event in the card this week. Ronnie, do you want to cue up the intro, the beautiful intro?
Hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The heavyweight champion of the world. It's time!
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Into the
that
fight.
does not get old. That is so good. But yes, we got a fight night tomorrow night. It'll be on ESPN Plus because ESPN is actually showing Loma is defending his title. So they got a big box match on ESPN. So this fight night will be on ESPN Plus. Main event, this is kind of the one that the card is being sold on, is a featherweight bout between Brian Ortega and Chan Sung Jung, my boy, the Korean Zombie. This is kind of a featherweight title eliminator. I think both guys, I think Ortega's number 2 and Jung's number 4. Just two dudes that this is one of those fights that I know sometimes I say when you get two guys that are finishing artists, when they face each other, it kind of becomes boring because they don't want to dive in. These are two guys that don't care.
These are definitely not that.
These are two dudes that just go for it. Ortega's got 3 knockouts, 7 submissions. Jung's got 6 knockouts and 8 submissions in his career. Both guys have multiple time fight of the nights. I think Ortega has 4. I think Jung has probably 3 or 4 fight of the nights, as well as several knockout of the nights, submission of the nights. These are just two dudes that just go for it. I'm absolutely looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be it could finish, it could end quick, it could go the distance. Either way, you will be entertained by the fight. I will go ahead and say that. Even having said that, just know anything I say here is for entertainment purposes only.
Yes, of course.
But,
and I think that's probably the best thing you could, expect going into a UFC fight. One of these, could be over in 2 seconds, could go the distance, and just have 2 bloody looking mess of dudes at the end.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this one, I think I kind of go with my heart in this one. I've always been a Chan Sung Jung fan. You know, he earned that nickname, the Korean Zombie, because A, he's Korean. B, they say fighting him is like fighting a zombie because no matter how many times you punch him, he just keeps walking forward. So
Coming back.
yeah, he's one of my favorites. You know, Ortega been great. He did lose his last fight, which was a title fight against Max Holloway. I think I really got to go with Jung because, you know, Holloway really outboxed Ortega, and I think Jung is just as good a boxer and hits harder than Holloway. So I'm going to go with Jung in this one. Really like that. I think that's going to be just an absolute fun fight. A couple other fights on the card that I did just kind of take notice on. The co-main event is a women's flyweight fight between Caitlin Chikagian and Jessica Andrade. Andrade stepping up from the strawweight division to take this fight. Chikagian is the number one ranked contender in the flyweight division, but you know, she's fought the champ before, Valentina Shevchenko, got worked. I kind of like Andrade in this one. She's a more exciting fighter. Chikagian really is kind of a, you know, point fighter. You know, not exciting, but I'm going to do what I got to do to win, which I can't blame fighters for. Andrade, she's more willing to go for it. I think she's got like 14 finishes in her career. I think she could maybe catch Chikagian, get her down, and get the finish there. And then the other fight that kind of stuck out to me was just kind of like keep an eye on this guy. There's a welterweight fight on the main card between Claudio Silva and James Krause. Silva, young fighter, 14-1. His one loss was actually a disqualification loss for using illegal elbow. Krause, crafty veteran, been around a long time. He's had like 40 fights in his career. Silva taking this fight on short notice to step in for Muslim Salikov. I saw that, you know, the Vegas likes Krause. I kind of like Silva in this one. He's, you know, both guys are submission fighters, but from what I've seen of Silva so far, I've been really impressed. He loves to get guys down, get the submission. I kind of like the young underdog in this one.
It's tough to call when they put these, you know, like the grizzled veteran, a lot of fights under their belt, and just sort of like an up-and-comer, a lot of potential, but hasn't really been tested so much, especially by someone that's really seen a lot of other fighters and been in different situations. So, yeah, that could be interesting. And like you said, with his only loss being a disqualification, even more that we don't know about this guy yet. So, tasty little appetizer there, building up to the pay-per-view. And I think after that one, they're coming back, right, off of Fight Island?
Yeah, the big lightweight title fight is going to be the last one to Fight Island. They'll be back in Vegas after that. So
something to look forward there. Saturday night. And I think we're running up pretty much against the clock here. We got a couple minutes, but just want to thank you guys again. Be safe out there. Enjoy all the sports we have right now, especially while we still do have baseball.
Yes.
Dodgers, I think, still 2-1 in the sixth inning. I think I saw on the score.
Still 2-1.
So we'll see. I'll go in and watch the end of that and see if I have to get into the double IPA again.
Go down with
yep, all the way down with the ship.
Yep.
But we still have that overlap for now. We got baseball, and then there's still going to be the World Series, regardless of, you know, who wins this game and the Game 7 tomorrow of the Rays Astros series. So, still, for the most part, spoiled. Just enjoy it while you can. We got Premier League is back. No more stupid international break. I'm feeling it. I'm pretty excited. Come on, West Ham.
And we got FIFA as well, so we got that to entertain ourselves as well.
And the new FIFA.
I also did want to give a quick shout out here, being that we are the NASCAR show of record here on the Quarantine Network. We got the first race in the round of 8 series here. So there's only 4 races left in the season. This weekend they will be in Kansas. The 8 guys that are currently gunning for that final spot here. We got in order of placement right now. You got Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Martin Truex, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Busch. All names that we've been mentioning this whole year. Definitely looking forward to. It's going to be an exciting race. You're going to see guys that you got to make that choice. Do you really go for it to get that win, or do you just go for placement? It's it'll be interesting to see what these guys do for these next few races.
Yeah, when you get down to the real smaller groupings too, as far as the playoff goes, it's kind of you even have to make the decision sometimes. I got to keep the car in the race.
Right.
If you just don't think you have the car, or someone's just clearly like outpacing everyone, you still got to finish and get the points and just keep yourself in that mix. So a lot of like math going on in guys' heads. Like, do I go for it? Do I get aggressive? Do I not get aggressive? Like, it gets a little more calculated when this kind of bizarre, NASCAR playoff that they have now. So interesting to see what drivers and teams decide to do as we kind of wean this down to where it's really coming down to the wire.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I see we're up against it here. Ronnie, any final words before we get out?
No, thank you guys again. Anyone but the Astros, please.
Will Smith home run. Will Smith home run.
All right, that's some positive news. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, America. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the weekend. We will be back with you on Monday for an hour at 7:30. Tyler, take us on out of here.
Absolutely, guys. Stick around here on the network. We got the Book Club for TV with Patrice coming up. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We'll be back on Monday. Hope you all have a good weekend. As always, keep the fire.
Keep the fire.
At the buzzer, it's good!